Now it is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Maryna Ovtsynova, the president of ALLATRA International Public Movement, a global risk strategy specialist who has studied in Harvard Kennedy School of Government and Harvard Law School.
Amen. Wow.
Good day, dear friends. It's such a pleasure to see you all here, representative of different beliefs, different political views, different nationalities. It's such a big pleasure to stay here in front of you and deliver a very important message. As a president of ALLATRA International Public Movement, we are so grateful for this opportunity to be here. And we are grateful to Pastor Burns for everything he is doing for the entire planet, for every single person, because he has unique ability. He developed very, very important initiative, spiritual diplomacy. And this initiative can go through all walls, go through borders, and can unite people of different political views, different religion, different social status, because it focuses on the very, very important and fundamental issues: freedom, human dignity, and peace.
Yes.
And thank you so much, Pastor Burns, for your dedication, your love to Ukraine, for your support to the Ukrainian people in the darkest of time. Without your support, we will not be able to be where we are. So the fight for Ukraine is going every single day, and we understand that it's not only the front line, it's everywhere. The front line for Ukraine is everywhere. Here in the Congress, in the Senate, in the churches,
Yes.
in a public meeting, because that's the fight, not only Ukrainian fight, it's our fight. Because like Pastor Burns choose the name for the conference that we hear, freedom has a name and it's called Ukraine. And that's absolutely true. So if we lose that fight, we lose the freedom in the entire world. And knowing that I will be able to talk and my voice will be heard by millions of people, I would like to say something very important. But before I proceed, I would like to say something simple and something human. So for those of you who travel here, I truly hope that your family are safe, your children can sleep peacefully. And in your neighborhood, the most disturbing sound is the sound of barking dogs. So nothing else. So that's very, very important. And unfortunately, I would like to take you out of this comfort zone deliberately, because you need to understand Ukraine. You need to feel Ukraine in order to support it. So after the Russian missile strike on the night of 18th on the Ukrainian city of Chernobyl, rescue workers pulled a woman from the rubble of the residential home. And as they were pulling her out, she was tearfully, desperately pleading with the rescue workers. And you will never guess what she was asking them. When they tried to help her, through pain and tears,
Bless your heart. Bless your heart.
she was keep saying, "Don't save me. I beg you. I just watched my son burn.
My God.
And I need to hear you this one more time. A mother being pulled from the ruins of her own home, begging the rescue not to save her life because her child was just killed before her eyes. And here what's happened next. Ukrainian mother began to share this on the social media, not for the fame, not for the political purposes, but to share the message that from now on, every night they will sleep with their kids. Not because to keep them warm, because it's extremely cold in Ukraine, but only because if the missile will strike or drone strikes their home, their body will protect their child, and they will do everything possible in order to protect their children. And that's the essence of Ukraine, protection. You need to understand that there is something that do not end with Ukrainian mothers. Protection is the nature of the Ukrainian nation. This instinct, this first desperate, beautiful instinct to protect is everywhere in Ukraine. So Ukrainian volunteers create the point of invincibility, shelter with warmth, with electricity, where everybody who needs help can come and will receive the help. And these volunteers create those shelters for the people that they don't know. They do it to protect. Ukrainian medics run towards explosion, not away from it, but towards, and they do it to protect people that are affected right now. Ukrainian teachers, they educate children in the basement, in the metro station. They do that because they understand they want to protect the future of Ukrainian nation and Ukrainian soldiers. Sons, daughters, fathers, and mothers stand on the front lines not for glory, but so that people behind them can live one more day. And they do that to protect. To protect millions of Ukraine, millions of decisions every single day, and these decisions are to protect a neighbor, a stranger, a child that they never seen before. And here, what you need to understand about the protection, and you need to hear this. Millions of Ukrainians, millions of heroes right now are protecting not just Ukraine. They are protecting freedom itself. The very idea of freedom, the precious, fragile, but infinitely valuable idea that free people have the right to choose their own future. Yes. And behind the tragedies and the pain of all Ukrainians stands not merely a terrorist state, Russia. Behind it stands a specific individual, a war criminal who has fancied himself a god, Vladimir Putin. He uses mass terror against civilians as the matter of policy, and this is his method. He kills the people of Ukraine to achieve the goals he desires. And like Pastor Burns said today, and if this method employed by tyrant who holds the nuclear launch button is rewarded, can you imagine the kind of world we will be forced to live in? The kind of world the United States would face, the world our children will inherit. That's why Ukrainians support their freedom, their fight. And that's not a charity. It is deterrence. Yes. It's a strengthening security, stability, and the resilience of democratic institutions. It is reducing the chance that American troops will face a larger war later, because dictators doesn't stop when they succeed. They stop only when we stop them. And this is exactly why today all of Ukraine organizes itself around one word: to protect. Protect their own people and the entire free world. And this is precisely why Russian propaganda works so aggressively to flip reality, claiming that Ukraine is not worth it, that Ukraine is weak, that Ukraine is hopeless. Because if you believe this propaganda, you will turn away from Ukraine. And when you turn away, what happens? Russian terror wins quietly. Through disinformation, lies, and fabricated narrative, the aggressor seeks to weaken Ukrainians' allies and partners' support. And this is why Russian information terrorism is not a secondary concern. It is another frontier of this hybrid war. Russia wages war not only with missiles, it wages war with lies. And these lies operate across Europe, across America, and to our great sorrow, even within Ukraine itself. And I know that not from hearsay. Our organization, ALLATRA, has been helping Ukraine since 2014. Our Ukrainian volunteers serve on the front lines, work in evacuation center, volunteer on humanitarian mission. They do this quietly, without advertisement, without banners, but they're there because they need to save Ukrainian people, their people. And here in the United States, ALLATRA do everything possible to help Ukraine, interacting with Congress, Senate, State Department, and of course, our scientific and human rights work is supported around the world too. But do you know which is the only country in the world that has banned ALLATRA? Can you guess? Russia. Of course, Russia. The only country where our volunteers systematically persecuted, tortured, thrown into prison. Russia. Why? Because we speak the truth about Putin's Nazi regime, because we speak the truth about the threat of the Siberian plume, which they want hide from an entire world, and because we support Ukraine. And this about that. The Kremlin considers us such a big threat that it launched full-scale persecution against us. Seeking to remove strong players from the board, Kremlin agents around the world spread lies about our organization. They call us pro-Russian sect. Absurd? Yes, it is. But unfortunately, absurdity, that is work. And because if you open the internet today, Ukrainian media, European media, you will find articles calling ALLATRA pro-Russian. The very same organization that Russia has banned and destroying. The very same organization whose volunteers sitting in jail and being subject to torture in Russian prison. And this false narrative is being spread by FSB agent. This is a documented fact. In 2024, a report presented in Washington exposed the method and tactic of Russian disinformation. It was prepared with the participants of American and international experts, as well as officials of Security Service of Ukraine and the Office of the Prosecutor General of Ukraine. The report directly named agent of Russian informational influence network in Ukraine who organized disinformation campaigns and criminal prosecution against ALLATRA. The report identifies Irina Krymenovska, a Ukrainian citizen, as an agent of Russian influence. Beyond our organization, she attempted to discredit Ukrainian religious scholars who were defending Ukrainian spiritual independence from Moscow, and to lobby pro-Russian policies into Ukrainian legislation. But she's not alone, it's a network, we need to understand that. So there is no single player. So these FSB agents have infiltrated in Ukraine institution. They influence journalists, they spread Russian disinformation throughout society. But here's what's important. Ukraine, despite all of that, is a real democracy. And in this democracy, just a few days ago, the national police officially recognized us, ALLATRA, as the victim of illegal attempt to destroy our organization. So, yes,
Congratulations. Yes.
thank you. And you need to understand that despite such difficult times, democracy in Ukraine works. Truth break through. But agents of Russian influence have not stopped. They operate not only in Ukraine, but in Europe, and unfortunately here in the United States as well. And they continue to spread Kremlin's propaganda, which unfortunately you often hear in the media. That's why when you hear that Ukraine is divided, that Ukraine is losing, the Ukrainians want to surrender, or ALLATRA is the pro-Russian or pro-Putin sect, please remember that. You need to understand that what you hear is the Putin Russian propaganda. And I ask you, don't believe it. Instead, believe Ukrainian mothers who protect their children from Russian drones and Russian missiles. Believe Ukrainian volunteers who deliver medical supply under the fire, and Ukrainian field medics who perform very difficult operation under the drone attack without electricity. Believe ALLATRA volunteers who are supporting Ukraine and being tortured in the prison in the Russian Federation. Believe the Ukrainian defenders on the front lines who share effort, literally sparing no part of their bodies, their very lives, every day bravely defend our rights, yours and mine, to live in the free and civilized world where tyranny has no place. Because this is what Ukraine is: brave, free, honest. Ukraine is people held together not by fear, but by mutual support, not by propaganda, but by truth, not by hatred, but by the responsibility for one another. Ukraine is the people driven by a pure, noble instinct to protect the innocent, to protect human life, to protect the good. So, how can we stop Russian information warfare? Only with truth. We can expose it. We can forge a path to the truth by not believing the lies and by acting for Ukrainians' benefits. And we, ALLATRA, have been doing that since 2014. We do this under fire, under torture, under slander, and we will continue to do this. And we will do it around the world, here in the United States, in Europe, and in any country we go. We will fight for Ukraine's future, defend her rights, her choice, and her freedom. And here I want to return to the man who does this every day, who does so much for Ukraine and who made this very event possible. Pastor Burns, we remember your words when you came back from Ukraine and you spoke honestly and openly that before you went to Ukraine, you were thinking as the Russian propaganda gave you the information. But after you went there and you saw it with your eyes, you changed your mind. And from this point, you will never believe the propaganda that the Russian authorities spread. Here also. And the very important moment that people around the world support your initiative. And they support you because you are the one who not talks, but who acts. One small step that you made is far greater than millions of hours of empty talks. And I know that Pastor Burns is a very modest person. And I would like to share something that he would never share by himself. So you know that Pastor Burns is the only one pastor in the world that has support of representative of all religion and all denomination. And even more, the atheist also supports him. People believe in Pastor Burns because of his action, because he is doing more than he is saying. And this is very important. And every time when he starts the spiritual diplomacy conference, he said, if you're here for a picture, I don't need you. That's right. And this is very, very important. So that's why people follow Pastor Burns. And like he said today, it's the action. It's not only having the pin here. So we need to act. And we really, really appreciate your support of Ukraine. It's very, very needed today. So that's why keep working and we will support you in all the action. So today we had a lot of different speakers and we heard different parts of Ukrainian life. And I was really touched by Pani Yulia, representative of Ukrainian parliament. And I truly, truly believe that the sound of Ukrainian voice that you heard today, you bring home. So you will remember this melody, the melody of the spirit of freedom, dignity, and the protection. Unfortunately, right now, in order to protect their freedom and freedom of the entire world right now, Ukrainian nation paying very, very high price. They pay with the life of their children, the families, the future of the families. We need to understand that they're paying this price not for themselves, but for us, for the international order that provides your children with safety. We need to understand and remember that when Ukraine stands firm, the idea stands firm that power does not give the right to destroy your neighbor. When Ukraine holds, the principle holds that a human being matters more than the imperial ambition of one tyrant. And that is why this war is not just a war over territory. It's a war over what the world will be. A world where freedom matters, a world where the power and ambition of one tyrant decides everything. Now, dear friends, I want you to think and leave you with this. Ukraine today is fighting for all of us. And when our grandchildren will ask us, what did you do when the fate of freedom was being decided? I truly hope that the answer of each of us will be, we stood with Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine. Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава! Now we are asked to join us for a minute of silence to honor those who gave their lives in Ukraine for a free future for all of us. Please, 1 minute of silence. Thank you very much. Now let's proceed.